Zelensky is mad that President Trump doesn't want to give more weapons or taxpayer money to the Russia-Ukraine war. Democrats have voted for the 11th time to shut down the government, then ran to the mainstream media to say, this is all the Republicans' fault, and the No Kings rally against Donald Trump works. There's no king in America. Thank you guys so much for liking and sharing these videos. I'm out of office today, but wanted to bring you the biggest stories in the news. So let's jump right in. Starting with nationwide unrest, over the weekend, a massive No Kings rally protest was organized, and about 7 million Democrats came together across 50 states and 2,700 cities. This is about 2 million more than when they tried again in the month of June. Organizers rallied around against what they called President Trump's authoritarian agenda, pointing to concerns over threats to democracy, ICE raids, National Guard deployment in cities like Los Angeles and Chicago, and cuts to programs like Medicaid and healthcare. Apparently, demonstrations stayed largely peaceful, with no major arrests reported in major cities, including Chicago, Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., New York City, Atlanta, Charlotte, Austin, and San Diego. Although there were some people who were caught on camera saying, we should kill ICE agents, or we need to go after people in the Trump administration. So again, there are many MAGA people saying, why aren't these people calling for ICE agents to be killed, being arrested? If they are, I will update you on that. Now, in Chicago, protesters waved upside down American flags, signaling that we are in distress, and had signs that said, hands off Chicago. Trump is a racist. Trump's connected to Epstein. Trump is a horrible human being. Trump believes he's the king. None of that is true. Mayor Karen Bass of Los Angeles called it a stand against authoritarianism, saying that Trump is a frightening human being. Well, I don't think that that is true, but I'm just letting you know what's in the news. Now, many said that Trump believes he is a king and that this was democracy that was keeping him from behaving like a king. None of that is true. This is just Democrats angry that they lost the election 11 months ago, using their First Amendment right, which Trump allows as a president for them to do. You're allowed to hate Donald Trump. You're allowed to say terrible things, but he is not a king. And we made sure of that when we voted him into office with 77 million votes 11 months ago. But don't take my word for it. Listen to what President Trump had to say on the topic, because he certainly doesn't believe that he is a king.
Protest over the weekend, the No Kings protests.
I think it's a joke. I looked at the people. They're not representative of this country. And I looked at all the brand new signs paid for, I guess it was paid for by Soros and other radical left lunatics. It looks like it was. We're checking it out. The demonstrations were very small, very ineffective, and the people were whacked out. When you look at those people, those are not representative of the people of our country.
Mr. President, besides San Francisco...
By the way, I'm not a king. I'm not a king. I work my ass off to make our country great. That's all it is. I'm not a king at all.
All right. He's not a king. Well, he certainly doesn't behave like a king. I think everyone watching this would agree. Now, I will disagree. They weren't ineffective. There's not a king in America, right? So Democrats desperately wanted to prove to who? The world, to each other, that he's not a king. If he was a king, he would have rounded them all up, brought a guillotine out, and went crazy like they used to do in France under a king. But that's not what happened, because as President Trump said there, he's just somebody that's working his butt off to make sure that America is great. But let me show you something else that came out of those rallies. They were rather organized. This is in California, pushing for no king and vote on Prop 50 so that they can do redistricting and spend $200 million of California taxpayer money in order to pick up a couple of seats. It's not going to do anything, because right now, Republicans and President Trump are just way too popular. In fact, CNN put out new polling data just today that during the lockdowns that were supposed to embarrass and shame and humiliate Donald J. Trump, he's actually become more popular, not less popular. Pretty wild, right? Now, conservative commentator Benny Johnson, he fired back, pointing out the hypocrisy, asking why people aren't upset with Nancy Pelosi for calling Trump a king, even though she's been in office longer than President Trump has been president by about 10 times as much. Listen to what Benny Johnson had to say, because it was very, very insightful.
The capacity for Democrats to self-own these days has to be studied. Here's a video that Nancy Pelosi posted for her No Kings protest. Looks like it was filmed at her nursing home, and she's trying to snap a plastic crown. But what you'll notice is that Nancy Pelosi can't snap that crown. They have to do a very messy jump cut for the crown snap here.
We're gonna tear up the crown.
And after this, Nancy Pelosi locked the comments on the post. What does that mean? That means that Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to hear from all of you. That seems like what royalty would do. By royal decree, they'd tell you to be silent and not make fun of me. Nancy Pelosi doesn't want you to notice the fact that she's been in politics, serving in Congress for nearly 40 years, 38 different years. Nancy Pelosi has been in Congress longer than I've been alive. Nancy Pelosi is also from an aristocratic, nepotistic family. She's a Nepo baby. Her dad was a big-time Democrat kingmaker from Baltimore.
So Nancy Pelosi has literally been in office almost 10 times as long as Donald Trump, and yet all the problems of America are because of Donald J. Trump. All of the problems of the American people are Donald Trump. Heaven forbid, Chuck Schumer, who's been in 50 years, Nancy Pelosi 40 years, Mitch McConnell for decades and decades. Heaven forbid these people be held accountable. They just continue to get voted in. But luckily, they're all going to pass away at some point, and they'll be removed or they'll go senile. I mean, Mitch McConnell took a very bad fall on live TV the other day. Oh, gosh, get this guy out. We've got just a lot of people that have been able to stay in office for decades, and they've basically been overseeing the sinking of America. But that is changing. There's a new rising generation. Okay, going back to the No Kings rally, a white man was filmed absolutely shaming, humiliating a black conservative, like going after him for being black, going after his intelligence. This is what happens. They love black people as long as they vote Democrat, but as soon as they say, oh, actually, maybe this isn't good for the black community, they shame, embarrassment, they call them Uncle Toms, they go after these people. Listen to a few minutes of this because it's actually very disgusting.
My God!
Wait, what'd you say?
What'd you say? Black and MAGA. I can't be black and MAGA? Worse. I can't be black and MAGA.
You can't sweat skin because there'll be a lot of blacks who are rolling with the Republicans.
So I can't be black and MAGA.
Oh, you can be black and MAGA.
You
You're a fucking sellout.
Oh.
You're a sellout.
How am I a sellout?
You're a piece of shit.
I can't have my own opinion.
Absolute.
I can't have my own opinion.
You are really... It's worse. You would expect that shit from me being white, but you hate yourself so much. Oh my! You have so much self-hate that it's sad.
Did you see that? The person filming the video was so embarrassed, she literally slinks off camera because she's so ashamed of this guy. And listen to what he was saying. He's like, wow, you're a self-hating black. Like, because you want to get off of the mental plantation of the Democrat Party, you're a horrible piece of blank. You're so blanking dumb. Like, and then what is that about? He's like, listen, you would expect that from a white guy. Like, whites are allowed to hate themselves. Whites are allowed to be dumb. But a black person not voting Democrat, this sounds like the racist comments of Joseph Robinette Biden. If you don't vote Democrat, then you ain't black, as if your skin color, the melanation in the upper layer of your epidermis, has anything to do with your intelligence or the goodness of your soul, right? This is the party that tells people that they're racist, that they're too focused on skin color. Meanwhile, we had Martin Luther King saying you should judge people on the content of their character, not the color of their skin. And then you have this self-hating white, his words, not mine, absolutely trying to shame a black American for voting for Donald Trump. Absolutely just the weirdest thing. I mean, I really don't understand this poisonous Democrat thinking. All right, let me get to some good news, because President Trump absolutely loves America, believes in America. He thinks that we are about to see a boom because he is nearing $20 trillion in committed money. This money hasn't even arrived, but once it starts hitting, think of what it's going to do for America. It is going to absolutely make it boom, and it's going to boom for just about everyone. Listen to what President Trump had to say.
Chips. I put big tariffs on chips unless they're made here. There's no tariff if they make them here. And all those companies are coming back from Taiwan. They're coming back from all over the world, and they're coming back fast. You know better than anybody else, $17 trillion. It could be $20 trillion by the end of the first year, my first year.
Investment in America.
Investing in America, $20 trillion. No country's ever done anywhere even near that, like a fraction of that. Biden did less than $1 trillion in 4 years. I did 20 trillion. We're going to do over 17 trillion in 8 months. By the time we end, we could do over $20 trillion. There's never, in China, no matter where you go, there's never been anything like it. We are building up something that's unbelievable. And a big part of that are the tariffs.
All right. Isn't that crazy? In 4 years, in 4 years, Biden didn't bring in $1 trillion of investment capital from other countries, businesses into America. And in just 8 months, 9 months, he's got $17 trillion committed. Some of that foreign money that wants to be involved in the American dream and the American empire, and a lot of that from companies right here, Apple, NVIDIA, Big Pharma, chip manufacturers, car manufacturers, John Deere, restaurant corporations, on and on and on, mining companies. The money is flowing back to America. We had a dead country, and now we have a resurrected country, which is about to boom. There's never been anything like it. China's never done this. The Middle East has never done this. This is President Trump making America rich again, making America safe again, making America great again. It's really something to behold. All right, now moving to acts of clemency, former Congressman George Santos of New York walked free from prison after an 87-month sentence for wire fraud. Now, he was a congressman who got in trouble for some of his campaign finance and the way that he was spending it. They wanted to put this man in jail for the rest of his life. President Trump said, listen, I don't agree with how he spent the money, but you shouldn't go into politics and then go to jail for the rest of your life. So he's gone ahead and handled that and gotten rid of that sentence on his behalf. All right, now turning to infrastructure and foreign relations, in an unexpected twist, Russian investment envoy Kirill Dmitriev proposed that Elon Musk's Boring Company build a 70-mile underseas rail tunnel connecting Russia and Alaska, dubbed the Putin-Trump Tunnel. Dmitry claimed the project could cost around $8 billion compared to a $65 billion estimate 8 years ago. He described it as a link between symbolizing a link between civilizations. President Trump said it's an interesting idea, but he's not ready to move on it right now. But speaking of Russia and the Russia-Ukraine war, Alex Jones has just exposed something big that is going on with President Trump, and Zelensky is absolutely furious about it. Now, he covers it better than I can, so let me just go ahead and show that. This is Alex Jones.
Trump, as you know, warned Zelensky to accept Russia's terms or be destroyed ahead of Budapest meeting with Putin, because Trump now knows 100% NATO and Zelensky will make no concessions, no deals, and they want NATO entry for Ukraine, which Russia invaded to stop to begin with. And Russia's agreed to even more of Trump's terms coming towards Zelensky to give up even more land that they've taken that's always before that been part of Russia until recently. And now this just came out today. Defiant Zelensky refuses negotiations. Peace. Hypocritically claims he wants peace. It's the same story over and over and over again. He just says, I want more weapons. I want more weapons. I want more weapons. So Trump's always said, we'll pull out of this, maybe even pull out of NATO, still sell them weapons. Then they went, okay, well, give us, cruise missiles. And he's like, nah, now I'm not doing that. He uses a negotiating point. I thought that was dangerous to try to let Zelensky save face. Zelensky didn't do that. And so now Trump is going to fully move out of supporting this operation, which may mean pulling out of NATO entirely, which I know he's strongly considering doing. So here's Trump. When the reporter says, why don't you just enable Ukraine to finish this war? You mean with nuclear weapons, that'll finish this all? Trump's like, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Then he responds to a statement 3 weeks ago saying, oh, yeah, they could win the war. Yeah, and Easter Bunny, might be real and pigs might fly and hell might freeze over someday. Here's a clip.
You support Senator Lindsey Graham's bill to declare Russia a terrorist state, and you have within your power, you're the most powerful man on earth. Why don't you just enable Ukraine to finish this war tomorrow?
Well, if you knew anything about what you were talking about, you'd be able. You do. I don't think you do, really. I don't think you do, because it's a little more complicated than that. But it sounds easy. We're in the process of trying to make a deal. If we make a deal, that's great. If we don't make a deal, it'll be a lot of people are going to be paying a big price.
And then just a few weeks ago, Anna, you said that Ukraine could possibly win the war and
they could. They could still win it. I don't think they will, but they could still win it. I never said they would win it. I said they could win. Anything can happen. War is a very strange thing. A lot of bad things happen. A lot of good things happen. If you look at the Middle East, I would say prior to us hitting Iran so hard, we could have never made that deal, because you would have had a dark cloud over the Middle East when we took out their nuclear capability, which was one of the great military maneuvers of all time. It was flawless. You saw that. Yeah. Those magnificent B-2s. I mean, that was a flawless move that was done by some very talented people, headed up by Pete and everybody else, and our great generals, and General in particular, Raisin Cain. We did a great job. And when that happened, everything was different, and we were able to get a deal.
When Trump says anything could happen, you could potentially, very low probability, maybe 5% chance in my view, guesstimation, have soft line, quote, reformers or Russian establishment people that have sold out to the globalists could potentially kill Putin and some of the other top hardline Russian leadership. You have to take them all out. If they could pull off some daring thing and say kill a couple hundred of the top hardline Russians, as they're called, or hawks, and if you can somehow get the security services on your side and have the dominant media at the same time during the coup, Putin could be removed. But if you just remove him, you get even more hardcore people. So that's a super dangerous maneuver, totally insane. I don't think they're going to even try that. That's what he means, anything could happen. Because the hardliners aren't going to even let Putin. The Russians are 90+% want total war, right? So, I mean, Putin's the moderate here. Did you know?
All right. So the mainstream media, international news, governments, they're all trying to pressure Trump to give more weapons, more money to Ukraine. They are trying to now do a coup or go in hard and get Vladimir Putin removed. But everyone's saying, you guys don't understand. Putin may be evil, but he's the lesser evil. He's the more conservative. He's the easier one to deal with than Medvedev and others that immediately say, we'll just nuke everybody and let Russia live, right? So they've got to get away from that. And Trump is saying, listen, if this war is not going to have an end, then as the American president, I'm not going to continue to give weapons that could strike Russia, and I'm not going to continue to give hard-earned taxpayer money to Ukraine. I'm just not going to do it. So let me know in the comments if you guys support President Trump and this stance. I think he wanted to be done with the Israel-Gaza war. I think he desperately wants to be done with the Russia-Ukraine war. So he's got a lot of pressure on him, at the same time trying to make America great again. And part of that, I believe, is just being done with all of these crazy wars. All right, that's my update for today. If you could, give this video a like, hit that subscribe button, stay amazing, and I will see you on the next video.